Tonight on KPBS Evening Edition, dire warnings about sequestration and public safety. Federal budget cuts could affect an aerial firefighting base here in San Diego.
The backlog of disability claims is causing hardships for returning veterans. A new investigation finds the wait time for benefits is even worse than reported. And since U.S. troops left Iraq in December 2011, we haven't heard very much about what's going on in that country. We'll explore what's behind the sectarian violence in Iraq today.
And from 22 to more than 400, the comeback of the California condor has been a success story so far, but the fight to preserve these birds isn't over yet. KPBS Evening Edition starts now.
KPBS Evening Edition is made possible by Joan and Irwin Jacobs and by
Hi, good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Dwayne Brown. A disaster ready to happen, the words of County Supervisor Diane Jacob talking about the possible closure of the Ramona Airport Tower. The airport is home to a firefighting airbase answering more than 400 calls a year. The Federal Aviation Administration put the Ramona Tower on a list of potential closures, part of its sequestration plan. CAL FIRE says its aircraft will still fly out of Ramona, but will be missing a layer of safety provided by air traffic controllers. County supervisors voted today to oppose the closure plan. They say operating the tower costs about $500,000 a year, and they say there are better ways to save the money.
Federal government has budget problems. There's no denying that. They need to stop spending more than they're taking in, and they need to make budget cuts. But this is like taking a hatchet to that federal budget when they should be taking a scalpel and be doing that cutting very carefully and putting as their top budget priority public safety.
Brown Field is also on the FAA's list. It's not final yet. The agency will take public comments through tomorrow before making a decision. Any closures are set to happen on April 7th. Federal budget cuts mean no tuition assistance for thousands of active duty personnel. The Army, Air Force, and Marine Corps have all stopped accepting applications for the program. The Navy still has to make a decision. The tuition assistance program provides up to $4,500 a year for personnel who go to school when they're off duty. The GI Bill is not affected by the cuts. Production of unmanned aircraft continues despite sequestration. The Navy is ordering half a dozen unmanned helicopters from Northrop Grumman at a cost of $71 million. The new helicopters are an updated version of the one you see here, called Fire Scouts. The company says the new choppers have better range and endurance and can carry more. They're scheduled to be deployed next year. House Republicans unveiled their balanced budget plan today. It includes $4.6 trillion in cuts over the next decade with no tax increases. The plan would repeal the Affordable Care Act and replace traditional Medicare with a voucher system for people under 55.
The Democrats should join us. It's an invitation to actually balance the budget, because balancing the budget helps our economy. It helps give us a healthy economy and a pro-growth economy. It helps make sure that our kids inherit a debt-free nation. This is a goal that all of us should have, whether we're Republican or Democrat.
The White House immediately rejected the GOP plan, saying it doesn't add up. Senate Democrats are set to unveil their plan tomorrow. Roman Catholic cardinals resume their conclave tomorrow after ending day one with no decision. Black smoke poured out of the Sistine Chapel after cardinals took their first vote for a new pope. There was no frontrunner when the conclave began. Vatican observers say there are two camps, those who favor the status quo and those who want to shake up the church in the wake of scandals. The cardinals return to the Sistine tomorrow. A not guilty plea today for James Holmes, the San Diego native accused of killing a dozen people in a Colorado movie theater. It happened last year. The judge entered the plea on his behalf. His lawyers say they were not ready to do so themselves. Prosecutors haven't decided whether to seek the death penalty. They say they will announce a decision on April 1st. Voters are going to the polls in San Diego, in parts of San Diego today, to elect a new state senator. The 40th district seat came open when Juan Vargas was elected to Congress. 4 candidates are running today. If anyone gets more than 50% of the vote, that person will win outright. Otherwise, a runoff will be held in May. A lawsuit's been filed in San Diego Superior Court on behalf of public advocates who claim they're being excluded from an upcoming meeting of the State Public Utilities Commission. San Diego has had a number of issues with the PUC, from dealing with fire insurance to the Sunrise Power Link. Now, a vote on building a new gas turbine project in the South Bay will soon be up for discussion.
The Public Utilities Commission is essentially acting like a bouncer at a nightclub, where it's picking and choosing who gets to go in to its club. It is disinviting and preventing people whose message apparently it does not want to hear from coming in those doors.
They originally let me in. I RSVP'd. They let me in. I was able to choose which of the 3 groups I was going to go into. And then they let me know, sorry, this is closed. You're not one of the stakeholders that, we're here to hear from, so you're not coming.
The PUC says the meetings are always followed by a publicly noticed meeting open to everyone. The 5-member board meets March 20th and 21st at the Scripps Seaside Forum in La Jolla. Internal documents from the Veterans Administration show a startling rise in vets waiting for benefits, with more than 1 million nationwide expected by the end of this month. Allison St. John is in for Peggy Pico tonight with a new report on how San Diego vets are waiting longer and longer for benefits.
The report is by investigative reporter Aaron Glantz of the California-based Center for Investigative Reporting. Aaron is on the line with us from the Bay Area. Thanks for joining us, Aaron.
It's good to be with you.
So now your research suggests that President Obama's promise to sort out the bureaucracy at the VA has not panned out. How have wait times increased for veterans in the last 5 years?
Well, nationally, the number of veterans waiting more than a year to get their benefits has gone up 2,000%, from about 10,000 when he took office to almost 250,000 today. So it's an absolute catastrophe, and the total number of veterans waiting is pushing 1 million.
So we have a chart here that shows how many days veterans are waiting on average for their benefit claims to be processed. In many places, they're waiting an average of more than 500 days. But here in San Diego, the average has grown from just over 3 months to more like 9 months. That's a little bit less than most other urban areas. Why is that?
Well, I mean, there's nothing to really congratulate yourself for. I mean, to say that veterans have to wait 9 months for their benefits. It's about the national average that San Diego has. I think there is some coordination with some of the military bases that are in the San Diego area to help people get their benefits a little bit faster just when they get out of the service. But really, San Diego is just experiencing the same thing as everywhere else, which is that the dysfunction has about doubled under the current president, in terms of how long veterans have to wait.
Okay, so the war began under President George Bush. So is it fair to blame President Obama for the backlog?
It's interesting. I was reporting on this a lot under President Bush. You have to remember, President Bush was president during 7 years of war in Iraq and 7 years of war in Afghanistan, rather, and 5 years of war in Iraq. There were 350,000 Iraq and Afghanistan veterans who claimed disability under Bush, and now there's another 450,000 Iraq and Afghanistan veterans who claim disability under Obama. It's only fallen apart completely under Obama. So the one thing that you could put on Bush is that he did not adequately prepare for everyone coming home. But at this point, President Obama's been president for over 4 years. He's had plenty of time to get ahead of this, and he hasn't done it.
Okay, and we know that the VA has spent over $500 million on new computer systems, so that doesn't seem to have done the trick yet. Aaron Glantz, thank you so much for joining us.
All right, thank you.
That's Aaron Glantz for the Center for Investigative Reporting. Retired Lieutenant Colonel Jack Harkins is chairman of the United Veterans Council of San Diego. Jack, thanks so much for joining us.
Glad to be here.
Now, I want to start with a statement from the VA. They declined to come on this program, but they sent us a lengthy statement to explain why the wait times have skyrocketed, and here is part of what they said. We've ended 10 years of war. Many veterans are returning with severe, more complex injuries. In addition, Secretary Shinseki made the long overdue decision to recognize for the first time medical conditions related to to Agent Orange, post-traumatic stress disorder, and Gulf War illness. The VA has completed 4.1 million claims over the past 4 years, but more work remains. Indeed, more work does remain, and according to Aaron Glantz's report, there are 7,000 veterans who are waiting for their benefits to be processed here in San Diego. How, from your perspective on the ground, is this affecting the veteran population here?
For every veteran who has a need for some compensation, some monetary compensation for a disability that is associated with their service, this is an adverse effect. Some more than others, because the degrees of their disabilities are variant, some more severe than others, of course. But most of our Afghanistan and Iraq veterans have applied for multiple conditions to be recognized in disability at an unprecedented rate. So the number of claims as a percentage of the veterans who served is the highest ever. And the amount of complexity of all of those claims is highest ever.
Do you think that the wait time is contributing to homelessness here in San Diego?
We don't know of any specific cases where someone who's applied for benefits and is waiting has suffered homelessness. We have, as the United Veterans Council and other associations, reached out and contacted veterans who have made their applications for benefits to see who may be needing services. And the Department of Veterans Affairs does a great job, and once they receive a claim, monitoring that veteran's status while that claim is in process to see if they need to be put in touch with the service organizations that can bridge any gap that may be needed.
And very quickly, Secretary Shinseki's goal is to have full completion of claims within 125 days by 2015. Do you think he can achieve that goal?
We certainly hope so, because it's greatly needed. We believe that the recent rollout of the automated claims processing system, which is in full use here in San Diego, is going to enable that, and that they're determined to do whatever it takes. If it takes more overtime, if it takes more hours, we see the VA responding to this.
Thank you very much, Jack Harkins, for being with us.
An update tonight on the controversy over medals for military drone operators. The Pentagon has stopped production of the new Distinguished Warfare Medal intended for drone operators and cybersecurity experts. Veterans groups objected because the new medal was ranked higher than the Purple Heart and Bronze Star. Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel has now ordered a review. There's a new cancer-fighting team in San Diego. 3 powerhouse cancer research institutes are joining forces to battle the disease. KPBS health reporter Kenny Goldberg was at a meet and greet today in La Jolla.
The Sanford Burnham Medical Research Institute hosted the event. Other members of the C3 collaboration include scientists from the Salk Institute and UC San Diego Moores Cancer Center. Sanford Burnham's president, Christina Vori, says the new team hopes to have a major impact in the fight against cancer.
I think we have all realized that simply by working together we can get so many more things done in so much faster for the patients. We have a continuum of expertise here in San Diego that we have not really tapped into before.
UC San Diego Moores Cancer Center Director Scott Lipman says they have a lot of work to do.
We need to attack cancer from every perspective. The genetics of the tumor, the genetics of the person, the blood vessel supply, the immune system, inflammation. We need to come at it from all different angles.
The new team hopes to get a financial boost from a 2-day bike ride fundraiser this October. Cancer researcher Ryan Graff says he's looking forward to peddle the cause because he's an avid bicyclist.
And I'm also very passionate about cancer research and the community that we have here in terms of the collaborations and the wonderful science that we do here.
Kenny Goldberg, KPBS News.
The Kashi cereal company is moving from its birthplace in La Jolla out to Michigan. Kashi is owned by Kellogg, which is based in Battle Creek, Michigan. 14 employees are being laid off, and another 14 are being given the option to move with the company. The Better Business Bureau has expelled its largest chapter because of an apparent pay-to-play scheme. BBB of the Southland served Los Angeles, Orange, and Riverside counties. The national organization says the LA chapter was accrediting businesses without checking them out, and even gave an A- rating to the militant group Hamas after a blogger submitted a fake application and paid hundreds of dollars. The national organization says it will establish a new standards-based chapter in LA. This month marks the 10th anniversary of the invasion of Iraq. Allison St. John speaks with a couple of people who gave an intimate perspective on the Iraq War, its aftermath, and the problems it's causing.
The last U.S. troops left Iraq in December of 2011. Much of the American public was relieved to see American forces pulled out, but we since then have heard remarkably little about what is going on in the country that we invaded back in 2003. Ibrahim al-Marashi is a professor of Middle East history at Cal State San Marcos. His research has focused on Iraq before, during, and after the war. Wael al-Dalemi is a medic and public health professor at UC San Diego. He left Iraq in the 90s but still has family living there. So, Dr. al-Dalemi, you left Iraq, but you still have a lot of relatives there. Would you say that conditions there now are any better than before the U.S. invaded?
I would say it is not in many aspects, from a security perspective, from corruption, and from all aspects of everyday life. There is much more violence, there's less security, and people sometimes wish that they were under the previous dictatorship than this kind of situation.
What would you say is at the root of the increased sectarian violence right now?
I think it's the people who are leading. They are functioning from a perspective of sectarianism for political gain, rather than looking for the long-term outcome for this country and where it's heading.
So, Professor al-Marashi, you were actually involved in some way in the original, the war beginning, because some of your student research was quoted in documents by the British and American government as a justification for going to war. What do you think that says about the intelligence and how good it was as to what was going on in Iraq at the time, and even now as to what the intelligence is like for what is going on in other countries in the Middle East?
Well, when I was a PhD student at the University of Oxford, I was writing about Iraq under Saddam Hussein in the 90s. So what I was writing didn't have much argument for to go to war against Iraq in 2003. Nevertheless, my information was taken out of context and massaged into a British government dossier to justify the war, which should have kind of sent emergency signals that once this plagiarism was discovered, and it was discovered before the actual events of the war, that it should have come as no surprise that the other intelligence, stating that Iraq was a clear and present danger, Iraq had a functioning WMD program, it should have been questioned, scrutinized more by the international media, but particularly the American media. But that kind of red flag was never really examined. It was quickly forgotten, and attention was focused on the upcoming war.
Does this make you question some of what you hear about current intelligence about the Middle East?
It makes me question the notion of intelligence. I think when we hear intelligence, we assume that governments have better information than we, the public, do. And what that plagiarism incident demonstrated was that even a PhD student can produce information that governments need. And so during these crises with Iran, North Korea, and Syria, I think the lesson I have to offer is that, yeah, intelligence is not beyond scrutiny. That intelligence produced by governments is not perfect.
So, Dr. al-Dalemi, it turns out that the Guardian newspaper put out a report along with the BBC just last week implicating U.S. advisors in what they call their U.S.-funded special police commands who ran a network of torture centers in Iraq. What could the ramifications of that be?
I mean, this has been known. It's not new knowledge for Iraqis locally, because they are under that unfortunate situation. They are being detained unlawfully, thousands, tens of thousands for years. Then there are death squads, and then there are people who are just being targeted because of their sect. Now, this is going to spiral out of control, and the U.S. really has to take a stand, a moral stand, not to support such a government that kind of perpetrate this and try and address this allegation in a very strict and quick manner.
Very quickly, how long do you think it'll be before we really see the effects of this war?
I think we're already seeing it, and this is going to continue unless there is a dramatic shift in the way that this government is running the country.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. That is Ibrahim Al-Marashi, thank you so much, and Wael Al-Dalami. Appreciate it.
I'm Judy Woodruff. On the next NewsHour, Hour, the conversation sparked by Facebook executive Sheryl Sandberg about women, work, family, and leadership. That's Tuesday on the PBS NewsHour.
San Diego Gas and Electric is donating nearly 80 acres of land to the U.S. Forest Service. The land is on the eastern slope of El Cajon Mountain, known as East El Capitan Ridge. There's a golden eagle nesting site in the area, and it's home to the state coastal gnatcatcher, a threatened species. SDG&E is set to donate more than 11,000 acres to offset the environmental impact of the Sunrise Power Link. It's hatching time for endangered California condors. San Diego Safari Park welcomed this year's first chick 2 weeks ago. Since the 1980s, more than 170 chicks have hatched there. KPBS Business and Environment reporter Eric Anderson says the enthusiasm over the chicks is tempered by challenges facing a species still trying to fight back extinction.
Don Sterner and a handful of other keepers are spending a lot of time in a tiny little trailer in a remote corner of the safari park. Nearly every part of the condor breeding pens can be monitored from here, and all the paired birds are watched closely.
We have cameras in their nest boxes to be sure pairs are compatible, that they work well together. We sometimes will put artificial eggs in with a pair just to find out that they are working well together before we actually risk their real eggs.
Biologists consider each egg a precious commodity. 30 years of recovery and captive breeding have led to some remarkable achievements, but the species is not yet self-sustaining.
Even though there are a little over 400 birds now, 400 California condors in the world, that's still not very many condors.
But that's a lot more than there were in the 1980s. The population of condors fell to 22 birds before biologists launched a controversial effort to capture all remaining wild condors. Keepers have exploited the birds' parenting instincts to encourage them to lay 2 eggs each spring instead of just 1. And Sterner says keepers use realistic puppets to help raise the chick from the first egg.
It looks like a condor head, and that's what they get used to as providing for their food and so forth. There's obviously our shortcomings. I mean, the puppets don't have body language like a real condor does, but it's as close as we can get.
The puppeteers hide behind a screen so the birds don't imprint on humans. That's important because every bird born in captivity could end up in the wild.
To see the start of a little egg that I've been able to watch develop over a period of 8 weeks, and then it's this little chick and it grows up into this big bird that weighs over 20 pounds with a 9-foot wingspan, and then you see it flying out in the wild is just an absolutely awesome experience. It's amazing.
Michael Mace is the curator of birds at the San Diego Safari Park. He says half the condors alive today are flying free in their historical ranges. There are condor release programs in Central California, Arizona, and Mexico.
I think the fact that we've gone from 22 birds now to more than 400, with more than half of those in the wild, those producing their own offspring, we have made great strides.
But the bird's flight to recovery has not always been as easy as riding a thermal in the backcountry. Condors faced a threat from mosquitoes, forcing biologists to develop a West Nile virus vaccine under a tight deadline. And the ancient birds have had to deal with ongoing threats created by people.
Condors are scavengers, and so they come down sometimes and feed on carcasses that have been taken in as game. And when they do that, they accidentally ingest lead during their feeding activities.
Efforts to outlaw lead bullets have largely failed, but they are ongoing. And trash created by humans is another threat that Mace says has to be dealt with if the condors are to survive.
The playing field in a program like this is constantly changing. What we have to do is either react to the new circumstance or try to anticipate what some of those challenges might be.
Mace says biologists have done fairly well in managing the complicated $2 million a year recovery effort. He says, however, diligence is required.
The chicks that we raise today, if they make it through their lifespan, will be with us more than 60 years. So it's critical that we reduce or eliminate these obstacles that are in the way of recovering a species like condors.
And the recovery effort is important, not just for condors. May says the birds are considered an umbrella species. Their range in the wild is immense, and making that range safe for condors makes it safe for lots of other species, too. Eric Anderson, KPBS News.
More warm weather ahead for San Diego. Coastal temperatures mostly in the 70s with some high clouds. Inland areas will be in the mid to upper 80s with some clouds rolling in by the end of the week. The mountains will also see some clouds by Friday, but the opposite in the desert. Partly cloudy skies will clear to sunshine by Friday. Recapping tonight's top stories, county officials are fighting to keep the Ramona Airport Tower open. It's on a list of possible closures due to federal budget cuts. CAL FIRE has an air attack base there, and while firefighters say they'll keep flying, they say losing the tower would mean losing a layer of safety. The FAA's closure list hasn't been finalized yet. Congressional Republicans rolled out their balanced budget plan today. It includes $4.6 trillion in cuts over the next decade with no tax increases. The plan would repeal the Affordable Care Act and replace traditional Medicare with a voucher system for people under age 55. And Roman Catholic cardinals return to their conclave tomorrow. There was no consensus in their first vote for Pope. They could take up to 4 votes tomorrow. A majority of 77 is needed to elect a pope. You can find tonight's stories and download the KPBS app all on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us. You have a great night.